Order. I did.
This meeting is being recorded.
I did get one call that people are having trouble getting in by phone. However, I do see a couple of other numbers of people that are apparently able to do that. So, Mike, is there anything you can do along those lines if we get another call?
Not on my end. It's possible that she may be calling from somewhere she needs, one of the other options, but it's hard to troubleshoot a landline from here.
Gotcha. Hold on one second. Chris is calling in. That was Chris. She's having a little trouble getting in, but she thinks she's got it cured, so she's going to be joining us shortly. Why don't we give it about 2 more minutes? Okay, it looks like Christine is able to get in. I am going to call the meeting then to order again at 7:04. All members are present. Chris, I've got several phone numbers here, but no names. Do you need them to identify themselves? You're muted. Chris, did you hear me? Are you hearing us, Chris? I see you. Mike, can you check and see if she's muted from your end?
She's not muted, but my guess is she doesn't have her volume turned up because I see she's got audio and video connected. You want me to call her?
Yeah, I tried to call her just now. She didn't answer, but if you don't mind, I appreciate that. Sorry, folks, we're having some technical difficulties.
Well, looks like she's looking at her phone. Yeah, it just went right to voicemail.
Bill, if I recall, people who do not identify themselves, they don't have to, but they do need to identify themselves if they speak.
Chris, we're trying to talk to you. Apparently, do you have your volume turned up?
I have no sound. My volume is up. So I'm coming in on my phone.
Okay. Okay,
Right? So
bye. Thanks, Catherine. She's gonna try to come in on her phone. She's got no volume, Mike.
Okay.
Okay, next item, Roger is here over my left shoulder. Next item is here from the public. Since apparently we have a number of people on, I'm going to ask that you limit any comments to 3 minutes and identify yourself. Anybody, any comments from here to the public? Going once. Going twice. I'm looking at everybody that's on the screen. You're all muted. Is somebody trying to talk, but they're muted? Okay. Rocky
I'm
start.
here.
You're here? All right. Thanks, Chris.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
You can note that no members of the public were here to be heard. Selectmen's briefing. Roger, Catherine, we spoke with Train today just to try to get an update on where we are on the upgrades to the system here at Town Office Building. And apparently they're having some problems getting some of the parts in that in. They're expecting to have the upgrade done now by the end of April. And they're going to keep us posted if they run into other problems. Apparently, the main problem is getting circuit breaker boards in. And it's not the first instance that any of us are hearing that. So the only other thing, I had a very brief staff meeting, which I'll get into the subject matter in a little while with you, but it was called to my attention that our social service office is running like 5 to 7 degrees hotter than the rest of the building. And Chris inquired whether, because I was asking whether we should do a balancing test, and Train is suggesting that we hold off on that because they're feeling once they do the installation, although I'm not sure I want to hold off until the end of April, trying to give Melissa some relief. Their suggestion we hold off, so I'm working on that.
Bill, are you able to see in the current system what that's set for?
Yeah, and it looks like it's set fine.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure what the issue, and the odd part about it is the office directly below that, land use office, is cold.
Well, we
So-
have the same kind of issue in the tax collector's office where hers gets really hot. And I think there's also an issue that comes up in the assessor's office running at a different temperature.
Yeah,
So, I'd be pressing Train because no one wants to wait till the end of April.
no, absolutely, absolutely. One of the items we're going to ask for, I've got 3 items to add to the agenda today, and I'm going to ask you and Roger to bear with me on that. But we got a letter in from the Conservation Commission. Actually, we were copied on it. It was addressed to the Board of Finance regarding Yale's donation in lieu of pilot. And it's asking that those monies that would come in from that be dedicated to open space. I believe that we've done that in the past.
Did you want that added to the agenda?
Well, I don't see it on my list that Chris made up to me, so that may be item 4, but I think it would probably be a good idea.
I'll be glad to make that motion.
Why don't we go ahead and do that and clear
All right.
that up?
I move to add whatever that was, if you could just describe it again.
Conservation Commission requested the Board of Finance to transfer any revenues that are coming in through the Yale donation fund.
And I move to add that to new business as item F.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous, thank you. I wanted just to give Catherine, you and Roger a reminder. I know you're aware of this, but Wednesday is going to be a busy day for us. We've got a 2:00 special selectmen's meeting, which will be a pre-union negotiation meeting, just to review the union contract and refresh our memories on a couple of things. That's going to be at 2:00. Also Wednesday at 3:00. And these are all going to be done through Teams. We're going to be meeting with the union representatives regarding our contract negotiations.
Mhm.
And then at 4:00, we will have another special selectmen's meeting. And Chris will be posting all of these tomorrow. And just do a review of our budget in preparation of our recommendation to the Board of Finance on Thursday. So never a dull moment. In your package that you got, Roger, Catherine, there was a letter there from Claudia Urson and Steve and Mary Marico regarding, it was to the chairman of the Planning and Zoning regarding a procedural change, requesting zoning regulation consideration changes. And the chairman of the Planning and Zoning has emailed, Jeff Silversmith has emailed those folks and advised them of what the proper protocol and procedures would be. And I thank him for that. One other thing that I wanted to do under Selectmen's briefing is we've got a couple of items coming up that I would hope we have public participation in. One of them is scheduled for March 19th. Pan Summers started this sort of thing several years ago about cleaning up our local roads. And we're asking for volunteers to meet at Town Hall at Knowlton Hall rather at 8:45 that morning. Road assignments will be given out. We asked the public to participate. I did have a meeting with Pam and told her that I'm hoping that the Board of Selectmen can work with her and the Conservation Commission with even fine tuning this. I know several years ago, we talked about starting a program called Adopt the Road and that sort of thing. So more to come on that, but the more people we can get to participate in that, the better it is. I know Linda and I had participated when it first started and very rewarding, and I think we got a lot accomplished. Again,
Just a quick question, is this something that, remember we got the nippers money?
I would think that that was something that would make sense to
You
help
know,
with.
we
And I
could get
guess
some safety vests
Yeah.
and some,
I did pledge to them and I figured we'd work it out of our budget to give them some safety vests because I understand they're short on that
Mhm.
Through Public Works. But I think that's an excellent idea, Roger.
Yeah.
Catherine, any thought on
I think
that?
that, I agree. I think it was about 10,800 we
And
got, or about
I remember
11,000.
11,000. You're
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
right.
And for people who don't know, those monies were, they're almost like a little mini bottle bill, if you will. That's why Bill called it Nipper. And it was really certain amounts of money went out to 3 towns in particular that we're aware of, and Willington, Ashford, and I believe Tolland. Or we were told about what in that district. And what we found was Ashford got the most money because we have the most nips, empty nip bottles that are thrown by the sides of our roads. So pretty sad story, but the reality is we at least got some money that maybe can be applied to help with cleanup.
There are times I think half of them are on my front lawn. I've apparently got some regular customers that love to do it on 44 there. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
and we've also had, for people who don't know, and I believe it came up last year, is we also have situations where there are narcotics that are thrown by the side of the road, bags and whatever. So anyone, and I know Pam is very aware, Pam's really does a remarkable job on this. But people should be very cautious. They should be using gloves. And if they see something like that, they should leave it and let people know that it's there.
Yeah, I
So
know
if
the
they're aware of what it
collections
is.
that Linda and I participated in, we had red flags that we used. And if
Ah.
anything along those lines were noticed, they put those red flags in the ground and then a special group of us would go back that had all the special precautions
Right.
to make sure that that stuff wasn't touched because
Yeah, I also like Pam's idea about Adopt a Road. I think that will
Yep.
help.
I think it would be. The other thing I'm asking for volunteers to help this year with our Memorial Day. I'd actually like to make that a Memorial Day weekend celebration. I intend on meeting with Public Works and the fire department. One of the things I had in mind was that prior Friday, perhaps having an open house at the fire department and show off our equipment, even if it's being gotten ready for the parade and that. Also the same with Public Works, but I appeal to the public if you're interested in helping out with that. The more the merrier, and we'll be putting together a committee on that. I've already got a couple of volunteers. And as we all know, Chris Abakoff had been doing that for probably the past 30 years, if not a little more. And she's still going to be helping with the cemeteries, but she's looking to pass that on. And we all appreciate her many efforts she did over the years.
I think it'll be nice to have hopefully the COVID issue behind us so that we can have a parade and have the activities.
That's what I was hoping for. I mean, the impression
Yeah.
I get from the general public, they're looking to put this behind us and to come out and meet their fellow townspeople and
Yeah.
start smiling a little more than we've been able to in the past couple of years. So I'm thinking that'd be a nice kickoff weekend if we can do that. So
I think we're going to be in a lot better shape for it than we were the last 2 years. So that's great.
absolutely. All right, well, we're gonna move on the agenda. The next item 5 is to accept the minutes of February 7th. February
Uh,
12th and February 16th of 22.
Okay, so we had February 7th in here. I move to accept the minutes of February 7th.
Is-
Seconded.
Is there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, February 12th.
That was a special. I was not able to attend that meeting.
Roger will recuse because he was not able to make that meeting.
I'm looking for the minutes to it. Don't see them in the packet. Let me take a quick look. Do you have them in your packet, Phil?
I'm looking. I do not see them in my man. The only
Okay, I'm
minutes
gonna
I have are the 7th.
Okay, bear with me.
Why don't we
I'm gonna-
pass then on the 12th and the 16th? And we'll do it at our next meeting.
That's, works for me.
Unless-
Thank you.
Unless there's objection.
Those guys, those were the budget meetings and the AFSCME meeting.
Yeah, it was.
Saturday budget meeting,
Oh,
and
Wednesday,
the
Saturday. it was-
meeting with
If it's
AFSCME.
yes, that budget meeting, I definitely did have the minutes to that, so
Yeah.
that was February 12th, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I moved to accept the minutes from February 12th.
Is there a second?
I was there for that. I'll second that.
Roger did make that, or any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous. And February 16th, which one was that, Chris?
That was
AFSCME.
AFSCME.
I have to recuse myself. I was not there.
Neither was I.
Right. Were you there? You were there.
No, I wasn't.
No?
No.
Chris did, neither Catherine nor Roger were there? I'm sorry, we've been having so many meetings lately, I just don't remember.
Both, if all of you were there.
For the union
Phil
meeting?
was there.
I know I
On
was
six-
there. Well, why don't we pass on that? We'll straighten that out and put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Sounds right.
Hear from item 6, hear from boards, commissions, committees, departments. Any comments from any of those? Going once, going twice. Everybody's unmuted that wants to say anything. If you do want to say anything. Okay, we're gonna move on under old business. Discuss reopening strategies, town facilities, update relating to holding of board and commission meetings. My intention is to recommend to the Board of Selectmen. I think it's probably a first selectman's call, but I did have a meeting today. Well, I invited all staff, including the Public Works and Senior Center and Library, although the Library and Senior Center didn't join us. But I spoke with both of the directors, is switching to a mask option effective immediately. The staff that I spoke to, there were about 7 of us on the original call. Then I had a follow-up call with the Senior Center and the Library. There were no objections. Yes, I think that's you.
Start again.
Okay. What I did reiterate, we have been tracking this pretty closely. The CDC has now rated our area in the green area. Our rating that just came out from our health district, both on the state and on the local level, has been reduced. We're no longer in their red areas. And I just think it's time.
What was the response from the staff?
There were no objections. I'm
If there
sorry.
were no, yeah, that's good.
The school started their optional mask procedures today. I have spoken with Wyndham and Mansfield. They started theirs last week. Most of the towns, I believe, are considering that. I was told something that I just learned from one of the staff today, this morning, because I was of the understanding that masks on pupil transportation on our buses were a federal requirement to the 18th of February. But I was
Mhm.
advised that the feds have even waived that. Because I know our superintendent had a very large meeting a couple of Wednesdays ago. Was concerned because it would be mixed signals to the students and it'd be a bit difficult to enforce. You know, when you're in school, it's optional, but when you're on the bus, it's not. Apparently that's been resolved, so unless I hear objections, my intention is to take our mask requirement mandate signs down, let everybody know, put some wordage up for optional. I am going to recommend on those signs that anybody that is unvaccinated for public interest to please wear a mask. Becomes an enforcement issue, but I think it's a matter of courtesy. That's only a logical thing to do. And we're going to watch it. Let's hope this thing is behind us but it's our obligation in the public interest to keep a close eye on it, and hopefully we won't have to go back to it, but I really think it's time.
If I could comment on that, I also think that it's time. I think, in the past, what we've had is as you know, we don't have a very large workforce in our buildings, and their safety was a primary factor for keeping the mask mandate in place. And if they are comfortable with having a mask optional, that's works for me. Everybody else is, they need to look out for themselves.
Yep.
But as employees of the town, these people needed to be protected, and their families, and to make sure that they could still do their jobs. So if they're comfortable, I'm comfortable.
Well, I agree, and I think First Selectman Fletcher and yourself, Catherine, and what little I did, I think we took as many measures as we possibly could, and thank goodness we didn't. Although we had a couple of staff, family affected in that everything, I think that measures that you folks and everybody initiated took were rewarding in the fact that we didn't have an outbreak here. We were able
Yeah, and we took heat for it. Okay, I'll just mention that.
it comes with the turf.
Yep.
And we still got, we still have plastic partitions up, the plexiglass and what have, where we talking about taking that down too, or?
No, we're gonna leave that up for now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think we'll
Good.
leave, if people, come to me and they say we don't think we'll need it, we'll look at it on a case by thing, but unless I hear any objection, I'm gonna be leaving that up. I've also told everybody that I would certainly be supportive if they want to continue wearing masks themselves. I mean, optional is optional.
Mhm.
Matter of their comfort level.
Yeah, I like the idea of the petition staying up. It doesn't get in the way of getting business done.
No, I don't see where it does at all. So we'll leave it that way. The only other thing, and I know we've got COVID updates as item C here, but Cheryl did a trial run. Unfortunately, I had a doctor's appointment and I couldn't make it, but with the OWL Pro. And a couple of small glitches that I heard from a couple of people that participated. But I'm hoping to have that in play no later than the end of the month. I will tell you, I don't know if any of the folks that are attending this meeting attended the Board of Ed special meeting that was called to address the mask issue. I think it was a week ago, last Wednesday. Were any of you, with Catherine? I don't remember if you were on the.
No, just I could see the video.
40 or 50 people on that. And there was some sort of a breach there, and pornography was brought through and shown on the screens and everything, and it was quite rattling. And it took some, it took some time for them to get it off. And I know there were a number of children that were also watching because there was an interest. Parents were letting them. So I talked with Cheryl today, and I know she's consulted with our Savage group, and is looking into that to try to see if we have to take any special measures to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because what I understand from the OWL Pro is the administrator of the particular meeting that's going to be used for is actually going to be the administrator. And it's going to have control of that meeting. And I want to make sure that we're all aware of whatever precautions. God forbid it happens again, but apparently if it happened once, there's potential for it happening again.
So Bill,
Yes.
it's not the OWL that's the issue. It would be that the Zoom meeting or the go-to meeting security would not have been what it should have been. The OWL is merely a way of capturing the images and the sound.
Yeah.
So,
I should have said the
so
entire.
I would hope that bear with me, I would hope that through what we already have with our Zoom meetings and our go-to meetings, that it's set up so that it has adequate security. And Mike D'Amato, can you speak to that in any way?
Sure. I mean, there are various levels of encryption that these programs run through. And so if you particularly when you are using Zoom, if you go in the upper left-hand corner of your screen right now, you can view what level of encryption you have. So provided you have that security, and we use the waiting rooms and those types of things, we have control over who joins the meeting, even if somebody gets the link that shouldn't. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So anyway, we will just make sure everybody's familiar with that, and we'll take.
So what I'm hearing, Bill, is that you're hoping that we can get hybrid meetings going, right?
Yes, we've had one trial, and I intend on fine tuning that and familiarizing everybody that's going to be utilizing it sooner rather than later.
Mhm. Good.
Roger, got any other questions regarding that? Okay, I'm going to move to old business, item B. And I'm not sure I see anybody on here. Ashford Advisory School Building Committee status report. Is there anybody with us from that committee?
Bill, if I
You
could,
trying to talk? Going once, going twice?
Bill, on this is Catherine. I'm sorry to step us backwards, but I just have a question. We received in our packet, we received an email from Sherry Much regarding in-person versus hybrid meetings and that kind of thing. Is that going to be discussed? Was that to be discussed under the reopening strategies or?
Well, I think we just wanted to have that for information purposes. There were two boards that in particular that Sherry was zoning in on. One was EDC and the other was the Babcock Library. EDC has been talked to, and I personally spoke with the Babcock Library, and they're on board with what we have to do according to the statutes as of now.
Thank you.
Any questions on that, Roger? No. Okay. All right, so we will just carry, Chris, we'll carry item B to our next meeting and move on to Tremco House Review Committee. I have made several attempts to get a hold of Bob Hurd. As we all know, he's been going through some medical issues. And to be honest with you, I tried several times last week and once this week so far, and I have not heard back from him yet.
Well, I would say that that's on hold until we do hear back from him.
I don't think we have any alternatives. Roger, any
Yep.
thoughts? Yeah. Joan, I noticed you're on. Did you have any thought along those lines?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. No, I was just concerned. You and I talked, I think, briefly, or I heard somewhere he wasn't feeling well, and I don't know what it was about, but no, I haven't heard anything. But I have a request for the Tremco house being put on the ARPA list. Is it possible to put a figure with that, even though we have nothing from Bob Hurd, just for budget purposes and ARPA money? Because he's supposed to do it in phases, and he's supposed to do an estimation, cost estimation. It's just something I'm suggesting, whatever you think.
Yeah, I mean, my
Joe?
personal thoughts is I think it's premature to put a dollar amount on there. The concept of getting him and putting up a deposit and
Yeah.
ended up- we signed a contract with him
Mhm.
was to do just what you're saying, so we have an idea of the scope of work that we would need and whether or not we could break it up. I appreciate your suggestion, Joan, and just at this point, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't know what Roger or Catherine think.
No, we're not under the gun in terms of.
Okay.
ARPA.
No, I agree with what you're saying, Bill.
We're not,
Certainly
we're not. I was, if you
I'm
were
just-
asking for a response from us, Bill,
Yeah,
I'm not comfortable with us putting down a dollar amount either. I mean, that's the whole purpose behind what he's
I mean,
supposed to be
I
doing for
will
us.
continue to do my best efforts to get him back on track. And then, of course, we have to pray for him to make a recovery from his illness, but we'll take that in advisement, Joan, but I think the consensus of the board is that we'll hold off till we have a report from our architect.
That's fine, Bill. I was just concerned because of the budget process is getting short. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you listening to.
From the day it started with ARPA, we have 2 years to finalize what we're going to be dedicating those funds to. And then we have 4 years to spend it. So
Okay.
we've still got time, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, new business, street lighting. I'm still working on that. We found that there are forms that DOT is requiring, and our assistants, Chris, is working on that as we speak, and we will continue to do that. I can't believe it's taken as long as it has to get 2 streetlights up, but we'll
And
stay on.
two first selectmen to do it. I'd like to suggest that we move this item for the next time under old business. It's not really new business anymore.
That's fine. You make that note, Chris.
Yes,
Okay, item B is new business. Discuss and act upon the ratification of a contract received from Paint Care for the collection at no cost to the town of paint currently destined for the household hazardous waste facility in Wellington. Member town participation in the Paint Care program has been encouraged by Mid-Near and I would highly recommend that I'd like to have a motion to sign it. I think being a frequent flyer there in Wellington, while I appreciate having that facility, I know we have more paint at my house than I'd like to have.
I'd like to make that, oh, sorry. I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second.
And the motion, if I understand correctly, is to contract.
Ratification of the contract and authorization for me to sign it.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Any more
And as far as-
discussion?
As far as our discussion, it would be great if the public understands that in this particular case, it means that they'll be able to drop their paint off. Once things are set up for this, they'll be able to drop paint off at our transfer station. And it'll have to be segregated, latex versus the other kinds of paint. But what it means is you don't have to wait for the 7 days that Mid-Nerock is open to take in paint. Is that correct, Bill?
That's correct. And I applaud Chuck Akins for getting this in place and facilitating it for us. He did a fine job, and him and his committee.
Yeah, very nice job.
Pete Care has kindly supplied us with guidelines that we can put in the Citizen on
Great.
how you sort your paint, when you bring your paint, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, we'll get that in for this edition.
I don't
Any
know.
more discussion or questions?
That's gonna be ready.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Unanimous. Thank you very much. American Rescue Plan, item C, potentials for project financing. Review spreadsheet of potential projects. Discussion regarding procedures to follow in relation to earmarking of funds. Example given, formation of a funding review committee, public hearings, town meetings, ordinance pertaining to ARPA funding. Again, and we had discussed this, what I'd like to do, we have been able to utilize somewhat the expertise and take their input of our capital committee review committee. I'd like to continue that. They seem to do a good job as far as a sounding board for our board. But we've been posting some of the items that we're looking at, what I'd like to do. And personally, I'd like to have this hybrid set up done first, but I'm hoping that before the end of the month to call a public hearing. My thought, as I discussed at the last meeting, and Catherine raised the point, she thought perhaps it should be 2 meetings, and I'm flexible. My original thought was to do a public hearing and warn it with what we'd be discussing and everything, and then have that adjourned to a town meeting at that meeting and take a vote either on all or part of those items that we lay out. If it's the board's choice to do it in 2 different meetings, that can certainly be done too. Your thoughts, Roger or Catherine?
I kind of lean towards 2 meetings, transparency, give folks
Okay,
a chance to chew on it.
okay.
I'm
Catherine,
still of that mindset. What would be good is, you were, thank you very much for making sure that in our packet, it has the survey results, the 39 responses, and the categories of things that people, referred to. There are a number of them in here that we need to make sure the public understands can't be supported with ARPA funds. A resident trooper can't be. Some of the other things that are in your tax relief. Looking at some other ones here. Do something about fire damaged house on Route 89. Those are things that don't fit the categories, any of the categories that we have for ARPA funding.
what I had, the thought I had, Catherine, was perhaps to post that. I'd work with Chris to do a bit of a news article on that. And to
Yep.
post that survey and qualify what is non-fundable or potential consideration could be given. And put it in the Citizen.
I like that idea, and Chris does a great job with articles.
So that's what I'm hoping to do. And one thing I might differ, Catherine, from what you just said, I believe that a resident trooper, from what I read in the ARPA, is a fundable source. The problem with that is limited. Once you start the state trooper program, you have to continue it. And I don't think, given the costs that I've seen the last time I saw an estimate on those costs, very, very costly.
I think it was about 180,000 a year, and if if there's anything that the state police need the trooper for, they can just pull the trooper for whatever activity that they need them for.
And I've always been very impressed with their responsiveness.
Yeah.
The town, I mean, I was thinking, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
You know,
I was thinking that that might be something that at a future date, we'd want to talk to a couple of our budding towns and see if there's some sort of a joint venture we can do on that. But I'm getting it.
shared, yeah, that's not a bad idea either.
What the ironic
some-
part, one of the things, the last breakdown I saw of cost, where the cruiser was one of the biggest costs.
Oh, really?
You would have thought that the salary of the trooper would have been your driving force.
Mhm.
The cost of, you have to actually pay for a cruiser, and that was a
Wow.
monumental cost, and I understand that's getting worse before it's getting better.
So, your suggestion about having an article that, that talks about some of these and gives clarification about what would really fit versus what doesn't, and generally why, would be
Yeah.
helpful, I think, for the public, and it'd be great if they got that before we had the public hearing.
Well, that's
That
why
way
I
you
was, I know Chris
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do, so I was gonna ask her to work on that with me and try to make it for the next deadline for the Citizen.
Gee, thanks.
If you would like any help, I'd be more than willing to help.
Thanks very much, Catherine. I appreciate that. All right, unless there's any other comments, I'm gonna move on. Board, commission, committee appointments. Agriculture Committee, discuss and possible action, reappointment recommendations per the minutes of February 17th for the Agricultural Committee. I noticed we have a couple of members on. Do you care to make any comments? Agricultural,
Sworn, I could have sworn that our last meeting that, Art, you were gonna wait until mid-March or something like that. You
I
wanna
asked
try and
to
figure-
be, I asked to be on the agenda for this meeting of the Board
okay.
of Selectmen, and we've got everything all straightened out, so we're ready to move forward.
Great.
okay, with your recommendations as stated in the minutes?
Yes, there's one thing that's not in the Board of Selectmen minutes is that there's 3 full members, myself, Sherry Simpson, and Mike Sabiga. Our terms will be ending on March 15th. So the
That's
3 of us would all ask to be reappointed.
Can I have a motion to that effect for those 3 individuals?
For those 3 to start, we'll have a separate motion. Yes, I so moved on my end.
Seconded.
Second, any more?
And thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Art, do you just want to go over your other recommendations for the minute?
Sure, we can go right down I have the minutes of the Agriculture Commission in front of me, so we can go right through those if that works.
I think that might be easier.
Bear
Okay,
with me, I'm trying to find my copy.
I'm doing the same
Got
thing.
it. Okay, I've got my copy.
I got it. Go ahead,
Okay,
Art,
so
follow you.
B1, recommend that Doug Jenny be appointed to the member seat vacated by Dan Zychek until the end of the original term, which was March 15th, 2021 to March 15th, 2024.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Yes, Catherine made it.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Unanimous. Go ahead, Art.
Number 2, recommend to the Board of Selectmen that Paul Varga be appointed to the member seat vacated by John Alapi until the end of the original term of March 15th, 2021 to March 15th of 2024.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Roger made the motion. Is there a second? I will second that.
Discussion? discussion. The only concern I have, that Mr. Varga is a fine person, is just that he sits on the Board of Finance, and having him sit on multiple boards makes me feel a little awkward.
He's here if he would like to weigh in at all. I notice he's present tonight.
If I can just comment on that, and I'm certainly happy to give Paul a chance to respond, but I know Paul is a busy person as well as being on the Board of Finance. He's an officer with the fire department, and one of the numbers that
And
have been reducing
Yeah.
drastically on people we can rely on for his dedicated service to the town. However, his credentials to be on the agricultural committee is really stand out to me. And his family has been farming in this town in one way or another for as long as I can remember. Of course, I'm still relatively newcomer here. I've only been here about 42 years. But and I believe that Paul is astute enough to realize that if there was a matter for the Board of Finance to come up, that he would have to recuse himself, that he would certainly do that. But, that's why I would support his nomination to the committee, and frankly appreciate him stepping up to serve on that. Any other comments? No. Paul, any thoughts?
Well, first, thanks, Art and Bill. And I appreciate Catherine's concern, and I actually don't necessarily disagree. The problem is this. The very first problem is we don't have enough people to serve on these committees, which is why I'm such a busy person. And secondly, when Art approached me about it, and I've been involved with the meetings with the Ag Commission, obviously, for quite a long time. I thought about that concern, and as far as being on the Board of Finance, the Ag Commission, generally speaking, doesn't have a lot of crossover into the Board of Finance. If there's anything, I can't even think of any time that happened. So that really doesn't, I don't think would be a problem. The only issue is there are times when there's meetings of both commissions, or both the Board of Finance and the Ag Commission. And as Art knows, I wasn't at the last meeting in the Ag Commission because I was at a Board of Finance meeting. So that's to me, that's the precedent there. And as Bill mentioned, my family's been farming in this town since 1906. So I'd like to see agriculture continue here. That's important to me. But if there's somebody available who would be interested, I'd be more than happy to allow them to join the Ag Commission. I'm sure Art would be happy to see more people as well. And I would be happy to see more people. But I don't think that I would let go of my dedication to agriculture, especially with my family's histories here. So, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Catherine, Roger, any more comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Again, if I understand correctly, Mr. Varga is a paid member of the fire department. He's on the Board of Finance, and now, again, the consideration is for the Ag Commission as well. So, take your vote.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
One,
Opposed.
one nay. Thank you, Paul. Art, you want to proceed? Art, you're muted.
My apologies.
No problem. I do it all the time.
Number 3, recommend to the Board of Selectmen that Meg Brauch be appointed to the alternate seat vacated by Carl Falsgraf until the end of the original term of March 15th, 2019 to March 15th, 2022.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Number 4, recommend to the Board of Selectmen that Nick Weinstock be appointed to the alternate seat vacated by Luther Brock until the end of the original term of March 15th, 2021 to March 15th, 2024.
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion. It's been second. You know, I should have said for a couple of the, I know we gave Paul an opportunity, but if any of you folks, if Meg is on with us, I'm not sure she is or not, care to address our board, we're always happy to hear from you. But hearing no further conversation, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Okay, number 5, recommend to the Board of Selectmen that Bethany Knowlton be appointed to the alternate seat vacated by Doug Jenny when we just moved him to a member seat until the end of the original term of March 21 to March 15th of 2024.
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much.
That's it. The Ag Commission has all of its seats filled now. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you for all your work on this and the work that you do to support our farmers.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all you folks are stepping up to serve on it. You know, one of the things that I know for years, every survey I've seen go out in this town, one of the top, if it's not the top, it's the next thing to the top, but to maintain the agricultural nature of our community. And I know that's what you folks not only want to do that, but of course benefit the farmers of our community. So we appreciate your efforts. All right, moving right along here. Inland wetlands and watercourse, fill vacancy created by the resignation of Ken Gary. Are there any nominations?
Lenny has interviewed somebody, and the gentleman is supposed to be coming to the next meeting, and if the meeting endorses him, they will make a recommendation.
Okay,
Great.
okay, very good. Next item, recreation. I assume we have no recommendations.
We were desperate to get a person,
Yes, I've been
some
on
more
it.
people on this committee.
I want all the help we can get. We need members that can be active there and also willing to be chairman and officers of that committee is critical. We haven't had those positions filled for far too long now. Next item on the agenda before I make my recommendation to add a couple of things here is tax refunds.
Oh, we had Commission on Aging.
Aging.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. All right, Commission on Aging, is there a nomination to fill that seat? Nobody? Okay, we will continue to carry that. I continue to talk to my person, although she went through a surgical procedure a couple of weeks ago, and she just doesn't want to make that commitment yet. But if anybody else comes up with anybody, I think that's a critical position that we need to get filled. So we'll keep working on that. All right, tax refunds.
I have kind of two, but really more. All citing General Statute 12-129 to Crystal Bro and Jamal Daniels. $165.76. And the other is to JP Morgan Chase, and it covers 4 accounts. Also citing this 12-129 statute. 4 covered are for $80.78. $680.46, $281.09, $43.80, for a total of $1,086.13.
So
Do I have
moved.
a motion?
So moved.
Roger moved. You'll second it, Catherine?
Sure.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Hi.
unanimous. Thank you. All right, folks,
We have the item we added to the agenda.
that's right. And that was the
Conservation. Commission.
conservation recommendation to the Board of Finance. I would like to see a motion to endorse that recommendation and advise the Board of Finance accordingly.
I'll make that motion endorsing it.
I'll second it.
We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think it's a great place to put those funds.
Oh, I do too. I think it is. And I think we've been successful in collecting those funds over the years to go ahead and help our farmland. I would like a motion to add to the agenda. Actually, I've got three things, but we'll take them one by one. Approval for the first selectman to sign a 3-year rate guarantee agreement with Kerma for our liability and workers' comp insurance.
And
Do
if
I
I
have a
understand,
motion to add that to the agenda?
I'll make that motion to add it to the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Do you want to talk about that? And then we go to adding other things, or how do you want to do it?
We could talk about that and get that out of the way, I think.
Good.
Um,
So,
I met with Kerma. Cheryl and Chris was with me. The Board of Ed was invited, who was unable to make it. And they put forward a proposal that I think is in your packets. And bottom line, it ends up actually being a savings to the town.
mhm.
And, you know, I don't have to, well, you're probably aware of it, Catherine and Roger. I don't know if you've had hands-on experience with it, but we've always found Kermit to represent us very well, be very responsive to any of our wishes or losses that we've run into or incurred in the past, as well as being more than competitive with any other firms that may be in the field. So I have no problem endorsing this and asking for a motion to go ahead and authorize me to sign it.
So if I understand correctly, it's a 3% increase in the liability auto property and a -5% workers' comp increase. In other words, a decrease.
That's
So
correct.
that's why it works out better than it was. And also, although the Board of Ed didn't participate, were they in favor of this?
Yes,
I'm
I
assuming they
did have
were.
subsequent to that meeting, it happened, it was on one of Craig's days off, but at a subsequent meeting with discussion with him. And he said he was perfectly in favor. They were sent all the paperwork that you're looking at. And
Mhm.
they totally endorse going ahead and re-upping.
Terrific. I'd like to make a motion to move forward with this contract.
And authorize the first selectman to sign it.
Yes.
Friendly.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No, well, it's unanimous. Next item, a motion to add to the agenda to appoint Alan Macaron from the Board of Assessment Appeals. He has expressed his concern that his attention has to be given to the Board of Ed. and he does not have the time at this time to devote to properly live out his duties on the Board of Assessment.
So is this really just accepting his resignation?
Probably,
not
you
sure.
should probably just get a letter of resignation from him.
When that, and
would
with,
think
yeah.
it's worded in such a way to add it. I would think that would be all we would need. Is there a reason you worded it this way, Chris, or?
That was the way it was given to me by Janet.
Okay,
so we haven't voted on putting this on the agenda, but I would think that all he has to do is submit his resignation like anybody else.
why don't we just make a motion to add it to the agenda, and then our comments can be direct him on what.
So moved. I'd like to add it to the agenda.
Second,
There's a motion on the floor and second, and all in favor of adding that to the agenda?
right?
Aye.
Unanimous. And I believe if we can make a motion to advise, thank Mr. Macaron for his service, but advise him that in order for his resignation to become effective, it has to be submitted to the town clerk before we can take any further action.
So moved or seconded.
Roger, moved it. There's a second. Any further discussion? You have that motion, Chris?
Yep.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. The third item, or the fourth actually be added, would be a personnel issue. So I would ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue. And I would ask that we invite, I believe she's on, although I don't see her name. Yes, I do see her name. I apologize. Sherry York to join us.
Yes, I'm here,
Sherry-
Bill.
And Sherry, did you have anybody else representing you that you wanted to join us?
No, I didn't. I just am on myself.
Okay. All right.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session and invite Sherry York to join us.
Second,
There's a
Would we
motion
also,
made- There's a motion made and seconded, and to invite Sherry York.
do we also invite Chris Abakoff, or is this just Sherry York?
I don't think Chris has to be in on this.
I don't,
Okay.
and you have to ask Mike to turn off the recording and kick everybody else out. Kick
Okay.
Judy out.
You have a more sensitive way you could say that, Chris?
Um,
I'm
tell
kidding, I'm
Judy-
kidding.
Tell Judy it's.
Thanks,
time
Actually-
to-
Actually, we're pretty darn close to the end of the meeting, so, but some people may want to drop off anyway.
I'm just gonna say good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
night.
Paul.
Good night.
Thanks, Chris. Good night.
So,
Go into
so we got the motion, we've got the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike, if you would put us in, well, verify everybody else is off of the conversation except for the selectmen and Sherry York, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so there looks like there's some people.
All right, I'm leaving.
Thanks, Chris. Good night.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
So it's just, I see a phone number here. And then, all right, so it's just Judy Austin. She's not part of this, right? So I can just
No,
eject.
she's not part of this.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove her. I'm going to,
There we are. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I think we should note that we did come out of executive session, no action taken at this time, pending further consideration.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. I'll
Move
take
to
a
adjourn.
motion. We have a motion on the floor for adjournment. Is there a second?
Yes.
All in
Aye.
favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Take care. Thank you.
Good
All
night.
right,
Bye-bye.
good night.